Hello, Priyanka. This is Luna.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, Priyanka. How are you?
Hi. This is Basma.
Oh,
Basma
excuse
Ahmedosh.
me.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
My apologies. I thought it was Priyanka. It just says
No, don't worry. No issues.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. Let me just start because this is first time to do. You started the session. We have 6 minutes. Yes. Okay. Let me just call my colleague to help me because we are distributing the works between each other.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah. Hello, حبيبتي. Priya, I'm the session. I started. Now, the Lona with me, but I'm having, I'm reading, create amazing virtual, See the virtual attendee, hope, what shall I do now? So the streaming.
Where did you log in?
Now the streaming already done, when I put more and.
Why are you doing streaming?
Not now?
You started streaming already?
Yeah, but give me a second.
No problem. You're on mute. You're on mute, right?
Give me seconds.
You're on mute on Zoom.
I'm trying to find out. Give me a second.
Mute on Zoom, because you're streaming otherwise.
I'm looking for this mute. Give me a second.
Go to participants. Look for yourself.
Where can I find the participants? I'm finding Cvent.
Where's your this one? You're on Zoom screen or which screen?
Screen of the Cvent.
Oh, you need to be on the.
Yeah. Then I did the streaming. Okay. How? Hi, Lona.
Hi, I'm back.
Hi, dear. Can you share your screen now?
Yes, with pleasure. Let me just bring it up. All right.
She's now sharing the.
And that's visible, I hope.
Hi, my dear. So now, first of all, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And please do start your session.
Bless you. Thank you very much, ladies. And it is my absolute privilege. Do we have all the attendees that have joined?
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for joining this session. I feel privileged to be a participant and to be speaking with you all today. I appreciate your time, and I'm extremely grateful for you in taking interest in this very important discussions that are going to be had over the course of the next 2 days. The WiCSME initiative is one in need of great support. It is a wonderful initiative and a program steering cybersecurity across the globe, but specifically the WiCSME platform is focused on the Middle East. So thank you very much for joining. Today I will be discussing with you the cyber resilience oversight guidelines for the Arab countries concerning financial market infrastructures. Right. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Luna de Lange. I am a partner attorney at KARM Legal Consultants Private Limited. We are based out of the United Arab Emirates. However, I am originally from South Africa. I am also a qualified data protection officer. I am a deputy money laundering officer. I act as external advisor to several governmental departments and ministries within the Greater Gulf region. I am a member of the Legal Practice Council of South Africa, so I act as an admitted attorney. Together with that, I have the right of appearance or right of audience, as it's called in some countries, before the Superior Courts of South Africa, the highest courts in the country. In terms of my education, I hold a bachelor's degree in law from the University of Pretoria in South Africa. Together with that, I have completed several certifications, the latest thereof being in data protection, compliance, and governance. Before that, then information security management, then practice management, cybersecurity, not relevant to today, medical negligence, but just to give you an idea of my educational background. Then further, insofar as transactions and clientele are concerned, I'd just like to give you a background as to the type of work that I do and the initiatives that I undertake with several organizations to steer the field and improve upon and progress in the field of cybersecurity at large. So in terms of transactions and clientele, I am privileged to have represented and still represent some of the largest cybersecurity companies in of various disciplines throughout the GCC region, extending to the the Americas, as well as to the Far East, and of course then also to Africa. I am also here in reference to the bottom right hand of our screen. You will notice there a manual cover that was a publication of the Arab Monetary Fund as part of the Arab Regional FinTech Working Group, of which I myself, as well as co-members of our law firm, are ambassadors of the Arab Monetary Fund. And as part of this Regional FinTech Working Group, we were tasked with the drafting of these cyber resilience oversight guidelines for the Arab countries concerning financial market infrastructures. This manual was formally published in May earlier this year, however, had been distributed since 2019 for continued discussions thereon, improvements, comments, advisory, etc. This manual has been approved by members of the World Bank, the members of the International Monetary Fund, and then also of esteemed colleagues and peers and specialists within these fields of the greater field of cyber resilience. So I encourage you, please, if you would like a copy hereof, please, you're welcome and free to access this on the website of the Arab Monetary Fund. All right, delving into my discussion topic today. When we discuss financial market infrastructures, these concern multilateral systems of participant institutions and operators that are primarily used for purposes of clearing, settling, the recording of payments, securities, derivatives, or any other financial transactions. The key thereof and the key objective of financial market infrastructures is to provide efficient, effective, and secure operations for FMIs for the preservation and advancement of financial stability and economic growth. The downside of improper and ineffective management or mismanagement thereof could include that of financial shocks, or that these could act as vehicles through which these shocks are transmitted across domestic and/or international financial markets. Financial shocks may include the following: liquidity dislocations in a country's banking system, a stock market crash across domestic and international financial markets, and then unpredictable changes in monetary, a rapid devaluation of a country's currency. In this context, it is important to note that the level of cyber resilience, which contributes to a financial market infrastructure's operational resilience, can be a decisive factor in the overall resilience of the financial system and the broader economy of a nation. Financial market infrastructures can differ in terms of their organizational or corporate structuring, their setup, operations, cross-border presence, but each organization should engage and closely liaise with its respective regulatory authorities to determine its requirements to establish, implement, and review its cyber governance arrangements. This can be done through example of a steering committee, a common strategy and framework, etc. And getting on to the primary topic today of cyber resilience. For your best understanding thereof, cyber resilience is defined as an organization's ability to continuously deliver the intended outcome despite adverse cyber conditions. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I just want to move my mouse, I'm so sorry. Cyber resilience is defined as an organization's ability to continuously deliver the intended outcome despite adverse cyber events. In other words, it's the organization's capability to sense, resist, and react to disruptive cyber events, and then to recover from them in a timely fashion. Strong cyber governance requires an organized, systematic, and proactive approach within an organization in the management of prevailing or emerging cyber threats that it faces or which it may face, and also which supports to appropriately consider and manage all cyber risks at all levels within an organization's ecosystem. It also provides for the allocation of adequate resources and expertise to manage cyber-related attacks and risks within an organization. Cyber resilience as a concept essentially brings the areas of information security, business continuity, and resilience together. Excuse me, just reverting back here on. Pardon me, everybody. What is important to note here, from which I would just like to take you through in terms of cyber resilience, is that we live in a borderless society, meaning thereby that as a borderless, in a borderless society where the world knows no parameters and there's no parameters for communications, transactions, etc., this becomes all the more important. What are the cyber resilience objectives of each and every organization? So at large, and what our strategies and frameworks usually determine is the following. So first of all, we look at resilience strategy and framework. Then secondly, we look at asset identification and classification. Thirdly, protection and risk management. Then we move on to incident response and recovery. And lastly, awareness, learning, and evolving. In terms of a cyber resilience strategy and framework, it is the manner of determining objectives of an organization. The key role players, support members or personnel can be internal and both external resources, and they are the persons that are responsible for the implementation of such strategy and framework and the proper functioning thereof. This would involve both people, processes, and together with the technology requirements in terms of risk management and then further of communication. It is important to timelessly notify and or collaborate as well as produce effective and speedy response and recovery. Those are the key factors for a cyber resilience strategy and framework policy. Lastly, we move on to learning and evolving. This is where you take into consideration lessons that have been learned and continuously adapt the policy and framework together with the strategy, align those two and make sense that it acts as a necessary component for cyber risk management. So when we discuss cyber risk management and the ancillary components, followed by governance thereof and a governance policy, it is important to look at the identification. So identification, it defines an information asset which should be protected against compromise in order of importance or priority in the aim of preventing an organization's operational failure, which in turn can negatively impact financial stability. So this is where we discuss, what are an organization's assets and what are their protectable assets. These are particularly mission critical assets, and they will give you real world examples of what these assets are. Then we speak about protection. Protection depends on effective security controls along with system and process design that protects the confidentiality, integrity, availability, together with the safety of an organization's assets and services. So it's the traditional data governance CIA triad, together then including safety therein. Next, we speak about detection. Detection is an organization's ability to recognize signs of a potential cyber event and escalating it to an incident, or to detect that an actual breach has taken place. Then we speak about recovery. The design should enable the organization to resume critical operations rapidly with accurate data in order to mitigate the potential systemic risks of failure. Then we speak about auditing and testing. Auditing and testing the efficacy of a cyber resilience governance framework and align it with the strategy together with the objectives of the organization, and keep up to date with new TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures of an ever-evolving threat landscape. So when we speak again of detection, this could be endpoint detection, it's your firewalls, it's your email gateway security, it's any monitoring solutions on your systems to detect any anomalous behavior. So the objective thereof should be layered security, and the position that one should hold is that of defense in depth. So with the layered security approach, one looks at perimeter security, then infiltrating email security, endpoint security, mobile device security, etc. So all of those layers ensuring that there is adequate protection. Then again, with learning and evolving, learn from actual incidents within an organization or peers, and collaborate with them, share information, make ones aware, share this information which could be vital to your organization or your field or industry that you work in, and also that which could benefit another organization. Together, we are stronger as a collective unit than we are acting as individual organizations. Then again, in terms of a cyber resilience strategy and framework, key considerations include the following. Value and importance of cyber resilience. What does that mean for an organization? What are their values and what is important to them in terms of cyber resilience? Then the organization's overall business vision, their objectives, their corporate strategy, and any other strategies which relate to or will impact cyber resilience. Very importantly, the timeous and effective identification, mitigation, and management of its cyber risks, an evaluation of its cyber risk appetite versus its risk tolerance. Then also clear, credible, and attainable cyber maturity goals, together with the timeline for the implementation thereof. Then proper description of roles and responsibilities, including that of decision makers, and specifically in this context, decision makers in terms of cyber resilience. Such framework must properly describe the roles and responsibilities of such decision makers. It must also include funding consideration and then the procurement of resources. It will effectively document the design, transition, operation, and improvement of cyber resilience maturity in the creation of baselines, also together with skill sophistication and capability evolvement. Execution and integration within the entire ecosystem of the organization will include its people, its processes, the technology, and new business initiatives. Then also resources of standards. You know, if there are no governing standards that are directed by a regulatory body, one can look at any international sources, such as the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the NIST framework, or the control objectives for information and related technology, that of COBIT. Then also the ICO, ISO, IEC standards, the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity, ENISA, and then also together with that, provide guidance, consistency between all frameworks of the organization, which includes the risk management and cyber resilience frameworks of such organization. It is important that a cyber resilience strategy and framework be approved by the board or its equivalent of any organization. So from a top-down level, there must be a top-down level approach, and at the very top, there must be an understanding of what these processes, procedures in terms of the framework and policy will be, and there must be agreement thereon in terms of the adoption and implementation thereof. Considerations must be had of interactions and data sharing with any third parties or participants. This will include any regulatory authorities, any industry bodies or peer organizations. One must be ever mindful of the ever-evolving threat landscape, which never, ever ceases to stand still. This is an ever-evolving threat landscape. One must be aware of how it evolves, in which manner it evolves, what future attacks can be expected in terms of certain TTPs that ones are witnessing. Then also what's very important is gaining threat intelligence on new threat actors, any new tactics, techniques, and procedures that they use. Then also assessing findings and results of risks assessments, actual cyber incidents. Very important, looking at business continuity and disaster recovery. And then also, again, the performance against any baselines or performance metrics and the lessons learned from any audits and tests. Most importantly, such a strategy and framework must be reviewed as often as need be and be adjusted accordingly to bring it up to date and keep it relative to the organization and its industry at all times, making sure that it best serves the organization as well as any stakeholders of such organization. Then in terms of identification, so here we see real world examples in terms of identification. Here is a headline of the National Cybersecurity Center, the NCSC, where it says, establishing your baseline and identify what you care about most. So in terms of the identification of assets, it would be unique to every single organization, and it would be that which they believe is a protectable asset. This can be in the form of their human resources. This can be in the form of specific data, particularly that of a sensitive nature. This can be its infrastructure, etc. So an organization itself must first identify what its protectable assets are. What we then also see here, a headline by McKinsey & Company, protecting your critical digital assets. Not all systems and data are created equal. It's important to remember that it's not a one-size-fits-all adoption in terms of identification of assets. These need to be individually identified, and an organization needs to properly understand what its individual identifiable assets are that are in need of protection. Then also these assets that we refer to here are often referred to as the crown jewels of an organization, the most important asset you're not conducting. So these are just a few real world examples here. One again, also again speaking about crown jewels. So in terms of protection, coming back there too, is going to be any framework or policy in terms of governance that an organization will adopt to protect itself in terms of security measures. So here's one example taken from the SANS network for security policy templates. One sees here as one example here, there's an acceptable encryption policy, an acceptable use policy. It can also include, various IT policies, bring your own device policy, remote working policies, which is very relevant at present, with the COVID-19 pandemic and the effects thereof, and lots of persons working remotely and not bound by a specific office environment and a closed network system, but now actually working from outside networks inwards. It just makes incident response so much more difficult and nearly impossible. But these impossibilities can be mitigated, and the risks posed by the same can be mitigated through the proper adoption of protection policies. These policies, very importantly, must be rigid in terms of the enforceability thereof. However, together with that, it must still provide agility and flexibility, but providing the necessary protection, very importantly. So it must not be as stringent so as to steer away any type of innovation or progression in terms of the improvement of cybersecurity or cyber resilience in the greater sense of the term. Then in terms of detection, here also we've spoken about endpoint detection and response. Here is the definition of endpoint detection and response, where they determine threat actors and advanced persistent threats, can be patient and resourceful in their efforts to evade your defenses. When they are finally successful in gaining access to your systems and network, standard security solutions often fail silently or go undetected, and such intrusion will go undetected, and you will not be alerted thereto. So a major culprit for this failure is often a lack of visibility. Endpoint detection and response is the most promising solution for addressing this challenge. All right, so that's one point of view. Then also here we've got products like further threat detection products, something here by the name of Match, where you can continuously detect cyber threats in your network by automating detection using all of your intelligence and all of your telemetry. This is a threat intelligence tool. We are going to speak about threat intelligence later, but these are all very, very important tools that will aid the detection process and the response to any such events or incidents that shall occur and that are of relevance to a certain organization. Then again, email security that protects your organization. So where you do have, again, layered security, defense in depth approach, and where it can protect your emails within an organization as well. In terms of recovery, very important. So at the onset of any cyber incident, how can one deter the full damage extent of the risk that is posed by such an event? And also, how can one very speedily recover from such an event? And then this involves business continuity and disaster recovery. Part of the recovery process is conducting forensics and investigations to neutralize threats with intelligent, cutting-edge, innovative and analysis tools. Very important. This is the use of technology for purposes of recovery and can be provided through various technological products and solutions. Also here, one of the headlines of Gulf Business News, headline reading, over 80% of UAE firms faced a cyber attack in 2019. Are you protected? Again, we speak here of remote working. With remote working, there is added impetus on organizations to find the weakest links when it comes to cybersecurity. Then creating an incident response plan. So this is a very, very important plan. Incident response is going to be one of your security plans, and it flows over to the recovery process as well. When we speak of cyber risk management and ancillary components, we bring in them for you situational awareness. This goes beyond the governance thereof, which incorporates identification once again, protection, detection, recovery, and then auditing and testing. So on the outer perimeter, we've highlighted for you situational awareness. Situational awareness helps decision makers throughout an organization to have information and understanding available to them to make good decisions during the course of their work. It can be focused specifically on helping people and organization to protect their assets in the cyber realm. And even further to that, it can be far more or a more far-reaching approach. Situational awareness provides both a holistic and specific view of threats and vulnerabilities, and it allows organizations the ability to identify, process, and comprehend information in real time. Real time, that's very important. That's a key component of situational awareness. Situational awareness also enables accurate perception of an enterprise's security stance and its threat environment. This will in turn help any organization to gauge both their current and future risk status and protection posture. So one can ask, why is situational awareness so important? It's important because it addresses the weakest link in cybersecurity. The weakest link in cybersecurity is often said to be humans, all right? Situational awareness can help to minimize the potential for human errors and the damage which can potentially be caused by such errors. Such situational awareness has increasingly become a key feature in the information security community, which allows organizations to establish internal threat intelligence sharing channels that alert all key personnel about emerging threats, mitigation, and potential attack scenarios. Situational awareness can also help organizations to understand what is happening within their environment and in cyberspace in general. The information can help the security operations and incident response teams to make informed decisions on how to best defend such organization against any attacks and to respond to potential threats and those attacks. So part of situational awareness, we've spoken now and mentioned to you cyber threat intelligence, CTI. CTI defines information assets that should be protected against compromise in order of importance or priority in the aim of preventing an organization's operational failure, which in turn can negatively impact financial stability. Communication and information sharing, very important, but the responsibility in doing so is even more important. It depends on the effective cybersecurity controls along with systems and processes concerning the confidentiality, integrity, availability, and the safety of an organization's data. Together herewith, I'm just going to highlight for you in terms of cyber threat intelligence. Right, so cyber threat intelligence is information about threats and threat actors, which also helps to mitigate harmful events in cyberspace. Cyber threat intelligence sources can include open source data, which is publicly available, also human intelligence, social media intelligence, technical intelligence, or intelligence gained through moles, underground moles, discovering information that would generally be encrypted online content and not be indexed by conventional search engines. Threat intelligence is evidence-based intelligence and knowledge, including context, mechanisms, indicators, implications, and action-orientated advice about an existing or emerging menace or hazard or assets. This intelligence can be used to inform decisions regarding the subject's response to that menace or that hazard. So arguably, there are 4 types of threat intelligence. The 3 traditional types of threat intelligence include that of strategic intelligence, which explains threats for a non-technical audience. Then further, we have tactical intelligence, which is, describes threat conditions for technical audiences. Then we have operational intelligence, which details hacker information and their intent or motives. Then the new addition there too, which is arguably to be included herein, is that of technical information or technical intelligence, which focuses on specific threat techniques. In terms of CTI, very unique requirements based on prioritized intelligence requirements. It can give you information on geographic locale, a specific industry vertical, internal technologies and processes, and more. Prioritized intelligence requirements, applicable threat models include which threat groups, actors, adversaries are or may be attacking, which techniques, tactics, and procedures they use, what are their trend attack patterns, what malware families may be or are of concern, and many more features. In terms of information sharing, here is one headline that was documented in Gulf News. The UBF launches its first cyber threat sharing platform for the UAE banks. Banks to share cybersecurity intelligence on ThreatStream. This was an initiative launched bringing together 13 banks' cybersecurity data on a ThreatStream platform. This platform will aggregate, correlate, and analyze threat data from multiple sources in real time and support defensive actions in turn. The UBF ISAC lays the foundations for enhancing the understanding of threat intelligence, and it showcases the value of collaboration and to provide ongoing training to personnel involved in the realm of cyber resilience within an organization, as well as to the external ecosystem of the cyber resilience personnel. Founding members of this organization include HSBC, CBD, ADCB, Barclays, CBI, Citibank, ENDB, FAB, Mashreq, Noorbank, SCB, ADIB, and NBF. Risk management and ancillary components. So further to situational awareness, we're adding one more layer, and that is learning and evolving. Very, very important. In terms of learning and evolving, an organization's cyber resilience framework needs to achieve continuous cyber resilience amidst a changing threat environment to be effective in keeping pace with the rapid evolution of cyber threats. An organization should implement an adaptive cybersecurity framework that evolves with the dynamic nature of cyber risks, and it allows the organization to identify, assess, and manage cyber threats and vulnerabilities for the purpose of implementing appropriate safeguards into its systems. An organization should aim to instill a culture of cyber risk awareness, whereby its resilience posture at every level of the organization and throughout its ecosystem is regularly and frequently reevaluated. So there we go. This is the entire picture for your understanding. At the very heart of the discussion is that of governance, which will include a strategy and framework policy, bringing therein identification, protection, detection, recovery, auditing and testing, situational awareness, and then learning and evolving. So key considerations will include the following. All right. So strong cyber governance requires an organized, systemic, and proactive approach within an organization in the management of both the prevailing as well as any emerging cyber threats that it faces or it may face. It should support the efforts to appropriately and adequately consider and manage cyber risks at all levels within an organization's ecosystem. And it also must provide for the allocation of adequate resources and then skills expertise to manage cyber-related risks and attacks within any organization. The risk management components, like we discussed previously, include that of governance, identification, protection, detection, as well as response and recovery. The ancillary components there too are that of situational awareness, testing and auditing, situational awareness, and well as learning and evolving. An organization's cyber resilience framework should methodically incorporate the necessary policies, procedures, and the controls related to risk management and ancillary components. The value and the importance of cyber resilience to the organization and its key participants, including all of its stakeholders, which may include any proprietors, owners, investors, its customers, clientele, suppliers, vendors, its employees or personnel, any contractors that it may have, and then the appropriate legal or regulatory authorities, as well as appropriate industry bodies and also their competitors. An organization should consider internal and the external stakeholders' priorities and their noteworthy requirements as well in terms of their evaluations. The organization's overall business vision, objectives, corporate strategy, and any other strategies which relate to or impact cyber resilience, which may include the safeguarding of the organization's ongoing operations, efficiency, and the financial viability of its services to its users, clients, etc. So it is important to understand that regulators may not specifically require an organization to have a cyber resilience strategy. However, it is expected and recommended that organizations maintain a suitable cyber resilience capability in respect of their organization. The timeliest identification and effective identification, mitigation, and management of its cyber risks is expected of organizations, in addition to the proper assessment of the organization's risk appetite, and so as to ensure that it remains proportionate to the organization's risk tolerance. And also, the cyber resilience strategy should clearly set out the manner in which the implementation plan will be delivered, as well as the tracking and the monitoring of such timeliness and proper delivery. Have those milestones been met and the monitoring thereof? This is the responsibility of an organization's board and its management members or the equivalent thereof. So this again sits at the highest levels of any organization, and it remains their responsibility. An organization's cyber resilience framework must properly describe the roles and the responsibilities, which include the responsibilities for any decision makers within an organization for the identification, mitigation, and the management of cyber risks. Together with this, also it must describe the manner in which the initiatives will be adopted, implemented, executed, managed, and then funded. Cyber-related risks pose mounting, ever-evolving, and unique challenges to organizations, and as such, they require dedicated attention and adequate resourcing. It is expected that organizations must mitigate and minimize their cyber risk exposure in ensuring that their cyber resilience systems and organizational arrangements are secure by design, and that emphasis is placed on resilience in light of current and possible future threats, as opposed to simply ensuring compliance to a certain standard type of approach. In terms of the knowledge, again, get up to date prevailing international, national, industry level standards, guidelines, and recommendations to guide you. These sources these sources aim to document industry best practices in the management of cyber attacks. There remains a duty upon an organization to ensure the sources are current and valid amidst an ever-evolving cyber threat landscape, and users of such aid should only be used as benchmarking tools for the design of its cyber resilience framework. An organization is further expected to use these sources for the integration of the most effective and operational cyber resilience solutions that are fit for purpose to the organization in its cyber resilience strategy and framework. In terms of cyber risk management, IT and operational risk management practices of an organization, these risk management practices are used to address cyber risks and supervise cyber resilience. Organizations are expected to have such strategies and framework to comprehensively map and actively manage their IT system architecture and define the organization's clear tolerance and appetite levels for cyber risk, which too is to be approved and adequately challenged at a board level. In terms of an organization's corporate governance or an organization's corporate governance, management models need to specifically incorporate cyber resilience and clearly articulate same across the technical, the business, and the strategic management perspectives of any organization. The organization's board should approve this framework and ensure that it is commensurate with the organization's formulated cyber resilience strategy. In terms of the workforce, skill shortages often lead to recruitment challenges, which is a global problem in terms of the sphere of cyber resilience. Organizations can implement or leverage specific cyber certifications to address this issue. In respect of funding considerations, a comprehensive and realistic costing and budgeting process is to be followed by the organization, with due consideration of an organization's organizational capabilities in terms of cyber resilience. A cyber resilience strategy requires considerable and careful scrutinization, assessment for the procurement of resources, which includes sufficient budgets and funding, and resources available for payment towards the decided high-level scope of technology that they will use, and the assets for the use and the setup of upgrading cyber resilience, as well as the management and maintenance thereof within an organization in future. Determining the governance which is necessary to enable cyber resilience to be adequately designed, transitioned, operated, and improved upon by means of cyber resilience maturity skills, sophistication, and capability involvement. The execution and integration Hello, everybody. I'm terribly sorry. Am I audible?
Yes.
I do apologize sincerely. We had a power cut and unfortunately my entire system went down. I do apologize. I'm just going to finish up my presentation. Just here again. Please excuse me. All right. So we've discussed the key considerations. Thankfully, right at the end, I did finish the last of the key considerations. So in conclusion, thank you very much for hosting me today and sharing in my discussion. I would love to hear from you all, whether there are any questions, comments, queries, any feedback that you may have. I please invite you to share that with me now. All right, thank you so